Alrighty people, my name is Ezra and welcome back to another diving video. Today I got two different days of diving, and here on this first one I'm heading out. I just brought the 3-prong with me. Gonna scrounge around in the shallows, see what I can't spear up for dinner. This is just my first little warm-up drop of the day. Coming down here into the murky shallows, seeing if anything's cruising around, but didn't see too much on this first drop. And here we go, drop number 2, coming on down. And already on this second drop, I kind of started to notice it, but my sinuses were feeling a little off. There was some weird pressure that shouldn't be here, but got down fine, saw some fish off to my right there, so loaded up the 3-prong. There's a pretty solid school, some maninis, some kalas, pilanis, nanuis, all swimming around. But as I'm watching them, I look back over to my left, kind of in this gap between these two rocks where there's the sand, and the camera doesn't pick it up very well, but right where this arrow is going to pop up. That was a moo right there. And a pretty good size one too, so now I'm thinking, okay, could get some good action today. So, head up for another drop. I made it to the bottom just fine on this next dive, but my sinuses were definitely feeling a little funky. But just kind of staring off into the sand there, hoping that one of those moo will maybe come in and give me a close shot. But no moo on this dive, just some pilanis and some nanuis cruising around. I decided to take this next drop in some shallower water to see how my sinuses were feeling. I definitely feel a lot nicer here in like 10 feet versus at like 20-foot range. And just decided to look for some little reef fish. I see these maninis cruising around, waiting for a good one to cruise in front and give me a shot. And I'm able to put a good holding shot in this little guy. He almost juked me, but wasn't fast enough today. Now listen closely as I take this next drop. That last little squeak you heard was me forcing air through my sinuses. I'm basically having to plug my nose with my fingers and blow as hard as I can to get air to go through my station tubes. Not a very pleasant feeling, and definitely does not make for good diving. So instead of going all the way down to the sand, I see this pachi hiding in the hole off to my right here. I line up where I think he's going to come back out and just wait for him to give me a shot. I put a good shot in him, and now I have to play operator and slowly maneuver him around rocks and coral to get him out of the hole without pulling him off the end of the spear, but we got him out, and we heading up. I take another drop, looking at some more holes for some pachis, because this is definitely feeling a lot better on my sinuses than trying to get down and lay in the sand in like 20-25 feet. But I don't see anything really good in the holes, so time to check elsewhere. I see this school of pilanis slowly coming towards me off in the deeper water, so I start creeping forward on this little ledge here trying to get a shot. One starts to cruise up and give me a shot, but I misjudge the distance and just tag him on the back end a little bit. He swims off to live another day. Another drop, another school of fish. This time I'm trying to be really patient, make sure I've got a good, close shot, that I'm definitely going to hit this fish when I take the shot. I start to line up on this collar here and wait for him to give me the perfect shot. And whiff again. I gave this guy the closest haircut he has ever gotten in his life. But, just like the other one, he will live another day. And I took a few more drops on this day. They looked kind of just like this in the shallows. My sinuses were hurting. I didn't want to go any deeper than like 15 feet. So I decided to head on in with my 2 little pan fry fish. But back out for day 2 is probably like 4 or 5 days later. Give my sinuses what I thought was enough time to rest up and recover. And today I got the spoon and the gun, as you just saw. And I'm heading out today in the same area I dove a few days ago. As you can see, it's a lot rougher, a lot more swell. So my plan was to take a few drops where I had seen those moo the previous days, and then punch on out, swim like 25-30 minutes past that spot, find some new ground and hopefully some new fish. But immediately on my first drop here, I can tell my sinuses are not gonna be okay. The best way I can describe the feeling is like a pretty intense, sharp pain behind one of your eyes based off which side of your, eustachian tubes is locking up. It's just like an intense pressure behind the eye, and it does not feel nice. And what makes it even worse is when I get to the bottom on this drop, they don't show up on camera because it's just too murky, but off and to the left of my spear gun, just out there in the murk, I can see 2 or 3 pretty solid moo just staring at me. I keep kind of glancing at them, trying to hide my eyes a little bit, but they don't want nothing to do with me, and I'm also kind of gonna have to accept the fact that I just can't dive the depth and the time it takes to get one of these moo with my equalizing issues. Those moo are just hanging off in the distance, sitting there mocking me. But that's okay. There's always another day. And here on this next drop, I tried to give her one more full sendy, but as you can see, I get like 10 feet down, gotta turn around, come back up, because it feels like my head is about to implode. So, just like a few days earlier, I'm kind of resigned to diving in the shallows, 10 to maybe 15 foot of water when I'm really pushing it, and just looking for whatever I can find. Which, there was this really nice school of Pilanes cruising around in front of me here. And right as I'm about to pull the trigger on this one, it gives a little twitch. I don't know if I just moved a little too fast with the gun or what, but after that, the whole school kind of slowly started to slide away from me. But I know I'll get another shot on them, so I decided to just let them go. A few minutes later, that school circled back around. I found a good little hiding spot, and I was just waiting for one to give me a good shot. Almost shot that one right there, but I'm glad I didn't, because check out this Honu come cruising right in front of me. I just kind of lower the gun, switch off hunting mode for a sec. Once he's out of the line of fire, I go back to hunting mode, but of course, all the fish have disappeared. A few minutes later, I'm able to locate that school of pilanes, so I take a drop on them, and they're going to be off to my right as I come down here. I go to line up on this pilani right here, but the Honu comes cruising over top, and I decide not to shoot. I don't want to shoot anywhere near him, and I figure these fish will probably give me a second shot. Sure enough, one comes back out behind the rocks. Now, I was aiming for the stone shot, but I missed by about an inch, and so he takes off and goes underneath the little ledge there, and I think he's going to get wrapped up, and I'm going to have to go down for a second dive to get him. But when I put my head back in the water after taking this breath, all of a sudden he's swimming back up towards me, and I'm like, why are you doing that? And I can see following behind him is Mr. Little Taxman. There's this little 4-foot oceanic white tip coming around, seeing if he can't get lucky and get a chunk of my fish. I'm not too concerned with him taking a chunk out of me, but I know he will definitely take a chunk out of my nice dinner here, so I get the fish to my hands, secure it, brain it so it stops struggling and, creating commotion in the water. And as I'm swimming back to my float, which is anchored 50 feet away, I'm just kind of slowly detangling the lines, unwrapping the fish, gonna push the shaft back through the fish, and right after I do that, I'm looking around, and who do I see but Mr. Taxman coming back in for a second little look. So I swim on over, give him a little poke, let him know, hey, sorry bud, this is my dinner. You're gonna have to find some food somewhere else. But I throw the fish on the cuy on my float, get my spear gun reloaded, and I decide I should probably swim on in, because if I just hang around, let that fish sit there on my float, if I'm not right next to the float at all time, chances are it's going to get eaten by either that shark or another one. When you're diving out here in the murk, that's the stuff you got to deal with. And as I'm swimming in, there is a monster moo that swims right underneath me. But of course, I am not ready. Anyways, back in the kitchen, sharpen up the knife, do a little nail test, and let's get this bad boy sliced up. Of course, I always have an audience while filleting fish. Kitty is always close by. Half of the fish is going on a plate in the fridge, the other half is going in a baggie in the freezer for a later date. Of course, we gotta get the potato boiling, our little spread, and sister. First things first, fish is going in the pan. We've got salt, pepper, paprika, and cayenne. Very simple, very basic. Into the pan with some olive oil and butter when it's hot enough, and then put the fish right on top. Get a good sizzle going, and while that cooks down, dice up garlic, flip the fish, chop up some onion. Pull out the fish a little undercooked because I'm going to throw it back in at a later date. But while that pan is still hot, I'll get the onions and garlic in there, get a little color on them real quick, and then dump in some water and roll the lid on top to steam them. Once they're done, I'll pull them out of the pan. I'll actually throw the fish back in the pan and get my rice all situated. And while that fish finishes cooking and getting nice and crisp on the edges, I'll dice up some chives and green onions, throw it on top of the rice, get my sweet potato, lay it out all pretty like, and throw some butter on there. Now that fish is falling apart, it's cooked all the way through, nice and good. We got the egg to go on top of everything. While that sucker cooks, we'll slice up this avo real quick. And with that cherry on top, she is all done. Very, very delicious. But that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you've watched this far, I appreciate you so much. And hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.